what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got these massive souls. We're Luton people, and that's what we care about.
Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust. I'm Kev, your host as always for the Manchester United review episode, and alongside me I've got the award-winning James Cunliffe of the Lutonian. James, just tell everyone the award that you've won.
It was nothing to do with football actually. It was I run a co-run a music collective and record label in Luton, and we got nominated for a community award, Luton Community Award, and we won the Arts Award, which is a bit of a shock. So, whoever nominated us, thank you. Fun night had by all.
Congratulations from all of us at the Trust, not just the podcast.
Thank you.
Well, the award wasn't on football, but let's talk a bit about football, James, because if you'd said to me, well, any time in my life really, that I'd go to Old Trafford and watch Luton lose 1-0 and actually come away kind of semi-disappointed, I mean, it's just madness to even think it, but that is actually the case. I mean, I didn't think they were better than us, but you'd expect them to be better than us. I mean, this is Manchester United, global institution, and God knows how many millions of quid that they're worth, but they didn't dominate us in the way that you'd expect Manchester United to dominate Luton.
That's the thing, isn't it? You come away feeling disappointed by a 1-0, and not only that, them being like absolutely elated that they've beat you 1-0, and that's a bit of a strange one for me to even think about it in those terms. You know, we were boys the last time Luton went up there for a league game, so all those things are pretty mad, and you know, to run them close and just narrowly get edged out really is it's something to be. It's almost something to be quite proud of, really. It's strange talking like that about a defeat, isn't it? But it's something to be quite proud of about how far Luton have come, and it is another thing that demonstrates that. Ultimately it's a game of football, and they lost. I genuinely thought there was a chance of getting something up there, and I got the score prediction right, just not the who for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, obviously, yeah, wrong way round from sort of all angles, really. You're right. And that's an excellent point about being proud, because as much as I was disappointed with the result, I was only disappointed with the result. I wasn't disappointed with the performance. I wasn't disappointed with the setup. I wasn't disappointed with anything anyone Luton did on the day, on the pitch, off the pitch, or anything like that. I thought we were absolutely excellent. I mean, ultimately, Man United are going through a bad place. We highlighted that in the preview podcast. You can't move for people telling you that they're in crisis when they're not. But also, you look at it now, and that's 4 wins out of their last 5. So it's not much of a crisis, is it? You know, and the thing is, you look at their starting lineup. I mean, they gave us no chance really by playing Anthony. He was on the bench. That would have given us a lot more help if he'd started the game. So you've got Rashford on one side, Garnacho on the other side, Hoyle and Bruno Fernandes. So you're looking at, 2 youth products and 2 blokes who cost a combined, 120 million quid, with 2 more to come on, Mount and Anthony, who cost best part of 150 between them. But they didn't dominate us to the point where, yes, they were better than us. Of course they were. They're going to be better than us at Old Trafford. They're going to be better than every team in Luton's situation at Old Trafford. And Kaminsky made some brilliant saves. But I wouldn't say he was overworked for a Premier League goalkeeper. Plenty more goalkeepers will go to Old Trafford when they have clicked into gear and the Manchester United that everyone kind of anticipates, and they'll have much busier days than what Kaminsky had.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think that they'll thump a few teams up there that seems almost inevitable, just for who they are, and hopefully they can do the business and thump some of the teams,
yeah.
Some of the teams below a little bit, because we highlighted this a couple of podcasts back about how important it is not to get thumped and not to rack up this astronomical goal difference. And we see, Burnley get tonked 3-1, and now they've conceded 30 goals in 12 games, and they're bottom of the table, and that doesn't look good for them. I think that's probably, I think it is one of the worst starts Premier League, newly promoted team. And obviously Sheffield United had that 8-0 thumping. They've since picked up and obviously got a point this weekend, but it's going to be so crucial, I think. And if you can go to teams like Man United, really when you're still feeling this league out, I think there's a sense of that Luton are growing, but they're still feeling it out. And I know it was the Championship, but this time last season was roughly the time where Luton was still having that in the Championship, and then they kicked into gear, obviously, once Rob Edwards came in. But so I think there's a sense of that, and that by going up to a place like Old Trafford and not being overawed and only getting beaten 1-0, that it sort of stands Luton in better standing than the likes of Burnley, who insistent on playing the football that got them there, which was wonderful. They ran away with the Championship, but it's at the moment it's costing them a lot more dearly than it is Luton, even though there's only a point or two in it.
Yeah, we'd all love to go to these grounds and take something from them, and who knows? We still do have to go to some pretty daunting places yet. We might do that down the line. Like you say, we do improve. This is a Luton side that, in this 10-year journey, and it's kind of important to recognise that 10-year journey now, because we're recording this the Sunday after the day before, if you like. And exactly 10 years to the day, Luton were winning at Braintree 2-1 in the conference winning season. Yeah. And now we're disappointed that we're losing at Old Trafford. But not getting tonked in these games just could mean something down the line. I mean, like you've said, Burnley conceding goals left, right and centre. Sheffield United have already been to Arsenal and lost 5. Small margins, it just could be the difference. But, I mean, the annoying thing about all of it was they didn't ping one in from 30 yards like you'd expect world-class footballers to do. It was a bloody scrappy set piece that was recycled and just fell to Lindelof's feet. And, the one time that you want him to do a centre-half's finish, he doesn't. He puts a centre-forward's finish on it and it's in the back of our net. And you're like, give us some help,
And that seems to be a kind of factor as well, that Luton aren't being gifted those ones, really. I don't think there's any. I'm not calling out any Luton players for that. They just defended the ball and it got lucky and it fell to Lindelof. But Luton aren't getting the benefit of those sorts of little things at the moment, are they? I guess that's the footballing gods that not looking down on you favourably when you're at the bottom of the league, and compared to if you're, they're not at the top of the league, but one of the better clubs, or the bigger clubs, should I say. So a couple of those would be nice if that happened, because, I mean, Fulham had the same, didn't they? And when you're losing by such small margins and playing well, but losing because of that one moment, which seemed to be sort of a mirror image of the goal at Craven Cottage almost, wasn't it? Just fell to the right man who was, you can't miss. you can't miss. So yeah, in that sense, it's kind of disappointing that still we're finding the ruthlessness of the way they get punished is a thing that needs to be addressed. But there's been gains throughout this whole season. There's been improvements throughout the whole season, and those things, I think, they will come. You'd like to think, because of the fact that you've proven so resilient. And really, that Match of the Day didn't really want to do much analysis on Luton. If you watched that,
did Luton actually play yesterday?
Oh my God! But the one thing they did say is that this team seems to really love defending, and that is an important factor in this race to avoid the drop.
Yeah, I think the commentator said that, didn't he, during the game, and he kind of said that sounds like a criticism, but it's actually not a criticism. It's very much applauded, and that's right. I don't know whether the team love to defend. The point is that they're happy to roll their sleeves up and get stuck in and do the defending, which when you lose 8-0 at home, you're clearly not doing the defending. And it's an
area of strength, isn't it? Because we're talking about a Luton team who are currently depleted by injuries, defensive injuries as well. But the players that come in are all doing a very bang-up job. And it was the same last season when a revolving cast of defenders. The defence knew their job and they kept it tight. which is why Luton were able to go away and get so many 1-0 wins on the road, which is important. And it's still going to be important in this division. You know, the first goal is massive. And unfortunately, when it goes to Manchester United at Old Trafford, you are up against it. But I do take it as a compliment that they're that resilient at the back at the moment. And it speaks to the point we've just addressed about not conceding so many goals. And I think it's maybe not now because we're recording this sort of just 24 hours after the result, but I think ultimately when you sort of assess it, maybe over this international break, for the players at least, it might be a confidence booster that they're not getting overawed in this league.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, you spoke earlier in the podcast about little bits of luck not going our way. You know, in injury time, Barkley's free kick falls to the feet of Mengi in the box. He gets a good strike away. It literally clips the heel of Varane. Could have gone absolutely anywhere and loops up. And Arna, who didn't quite sell himself as much as he might have done, is there to collect it. Had he have missed him, or had Onana have sold himself, and the ball goes in the other corner, we get a 1-1 draw, and that's probably what our efforts deserved. It didn't happen really. You're right again with what you say about the first goal. I mean, we've highlighted the first goal on this podcast so many times already this season. It's a massive thing, and again, Onana, who's meant to be the worst goalkeeper since like human history, pulls off an absolute worldie from a Carlton Morris header that finishes off a lovely move, which again involved Issa Kabore, very much in the mould of last week. Brilliant header. Can't do no more, Carlton Morris. We've asked him, find the target. If the goalkeeper saves it, so be it. He found the target and the goalkeeper did save it, and it's just like, oh, why have you got to do it this week when you ain't done it any other week?
Yeah, it's frustrating because it was a good header. But if you think back to a couple of podcasts ago, maybe further than that, at the beginning of the season, we were talking about so many chances that weren't even getting on target. So if we're talking about these little incremental gains and improvements, then Carlton Morris getting that header on target, because it was a fair distance out. He had to do a bit of work and he got it on target and forces the save. That's what you're expecting of a striker. You've got to hit the target to stand a chance. And before that, it wasn't happening. So, you know, you've got to try and take these little areas and these little passages of play and how things are going. Once you've got over the result, I mean, it's disappointing. You've lost a game of football. There's no way around that. But got 2 weeks to think back of it in that way. And I think that's one of the things you can throw into the mix of how Luton are still growing into this, and they've got a chance.
Should just say, if you're hearing fireworks in the background whilst we're recording this, yeah, we are recording on Diwali. So if you're celebrating Diwali, happy Diwali. Yep. That is what the fireworks are that's going off. We'll try and dampen them down as much as we can, but obviously it's a festival that's being celebrated in our town, and quite rightly so. So we do apologise for that, but that's just what it is. I think the thing over the course of this season is every improvement does need to be flagged up, because we're copping it from all angles anyway. So it's down to us fans to recognise that improvement. Yes, we'd like that improvement to be where it matters, the points in the league table, but we kind of hope that we've still another 26 games to play. These improvements do add up to get the points in the table. So you're right about the shots on target. You're right about the way that we're defending. Take those first 2 games out. No one's really opened us up apart from Aston Villa, who they're still doing it to every team that they play. So that's fair enough. And we've just played the 2 giants of English football, and we've given both of them a good game. Whereas at the start of the season, when we looked at this week, Liverpool and Man United, I think everyone out there would have been like, please don't get 2 Tonkins.
Well, yeah, no one's expecting even a point out of that. It's a great result. And to be honest, as we said in the Liverpool one, it really should have been all 3 against Liverpool. But that's the top teams, isn't it? They can do that. And,
I mean, they made Brentford look pretty mundane on Sunday. So, they certainly didn't do that to Luton.
No, and that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, when you've got players that are coming in and the likes of Mengi, who hasn't played a lot of football, and Osho in his first game, and they're keeping world-class talents like Salah, who scored 2 against Brentford on Sunday, and he's keeping them quiet. these are the things you've got to look to, really, and to give yourself confidence that we know Luton belong there, and I think the rest of the league are starting to cotton on, starting to gradually believe that Luton aren't these pushovers that they were originally perceived to be. There'll still be a decent faction of people that think that because they only look at the league position. But if you have been watching the games, and I don't think that's the case. So that's, they're small positives, really, aren't they? You're right. You want more points. You want to be out of that bottom three. Results haven't gone Luton's way this weekend, which is unfortunate. And obviously there's a bit of a daunting gap there at the moment, considering how difficult it is to come by points because of Bournemouth's win at the weekend. But I think you got to say that nobody was expecting Luton to get anything from those two games against Liverpool and Man United, and to come over the point is again, it's another positive.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I will have a deeper look at the sort of relegation battle when we do our deep dive later in the international break. There's a few things that we'll talk about during that, and we'll assess that. But you're right, results certainly haven't gone our way this weekend. But I do think this is a two-game league. You put two results together, and all of a sudden things are a lot different. You look at Everton; they've done that, and they're probably thinking they're safe.
Well, yeah. I think they probably are, but it's just confidence, isn't it? Well, as well, of getting a result. You've got to think as well that they haven't got the result. They've got a draw now at home, but then they're waiting for that first win. When that happens, that'll be a massive boost. Everybody will feel it a lot more, I think, because it's at home with 10,000, Luton still in there. So, these things are still to come. It's a very, very difficult run of fixtures that Luton have got in the mists now. It's not going to get any easier after the international break with some of the massive teams.
Yeah, don't mention
some of the massive teams you've got to play.
If you saw Andros Townsend's reaction when they put the graphic of next 6 games up when he did an interview after the Liverpool game, you were like, don't worry, Andros, we know how you feel.
Yeah.
Exactly how you feel. Let's go back to the game then. Thomas Kaminski, yet again, done really, really well. Probably only a couple of saves that I wouldn't expect a Premier League goalkeeper to make, but he still made all the saves that he had to make, bar the one that he didn't really have a chance with. The save from Højlund, I'm not golfer, Højlund, in the first 2 or 3 minutes from point blank range. That's just brilliant reactions, much like the save that's up for save of the month from Ollie Watkins at Aston Villa. Very reminiscent of it.
That's top drawer stuff, really, and that's what he's been signed for. I'm seeing numerous people, I have a lot of time for their opinions, saying that he's the best goalkeeper they've seen in their lifetime for Luton. And to say that after just 12 games, you've got to say it because of the Premier League level as well. I mean, there'll be lots of people that are fond of goalkeepers throughout.
Like Mark Tyler.
I'm thinking Mark Tyler at this point, but he played in the conference, didn't he? So it's levels really there. But to do that at Old Trafford is pretty impressive. The reactions to get that way, because if that goal goes in early doors, that is Luton are bang in trouble. And so to do that, he's going to save a lot of points, save a lot of potential Tonkins. And it's so important to have a goalkeeper like that.
Yeah. If that chance goes in, all of a sudden 70,000 are right behind them. They're expressing themselves, and it's Brighton revisited, really, isn't it? And
well, they're all expecting to absolutely hammer Luton, because that's what they've come to expect from Man United over the years. I think eventually they're going to have to reassess that, because that's not what Man United are anymore. And I think I know they're a long period away, and many, many years since Sir Alex Ferguson quit. But it was a one-off, and they had 25 years of one of the best to replace that and to be back where they are, particularly with the strength of all the other teams at the top end of the Premier League, is not going to happen. But despite all that, they will still expect to hammer teams like Luton. And so not allowing that to happen is another sort of chalk mark on Luton's side.
Yeah, it's nice of Sir Alex to remind the Man United fans that it could be a lot worse by having Sam Allardyce sat alongside him in the stands on Saturday. You definitely don't want that at your club, that is for sure. Mengi, Ted and Mengi, we've spoken about him in the last 2 podcasts, and he impressed again. Both ends of the pitch, obviously up for the game. No doubt about that, having left Manchester United to join us. First time he'll have played in that sort of atmosphere at Old Trafford, handled it really, really well, and just continues to flourish.
Yeah, I'd expect him to, because he's been brought up with that. He's been brought up in one of the biggest clubs with the biggest expectation, the best coaches for a long while, and for whatever reason hasn't got his shot there. And we're all hoping and starting to see. Actually, I think that we've got the better deal there. But it's if he's going to come in and he's going to have to hit the ground running, and that seems to be what he's done. Really, he doesn't look out of place in the slightest. And when he came and he wasn't really starting or getting a look in to start with, maybe you're thinking he was a backup, but now you're thinking when the other 2 get back, Bell and Burke, and Mads Anderson, obviously when he comes back as well, how are they getting in?
Yeah, definitely. Rob's going to have some selection headaches there, that's for sure. And, shout out again to Gabe Osho, who did absolutely nothing wrong. And Tom Lockyer, actually. He was excellent. Apart from that early chance, Hoyland didn't really influence the game too much, apart from when they caught us on a counter-attack to set up Garnacho, who I have absolutely no idea what that bloke was doing.
That's not what Match of the Day was saying. I mean,
well, no.
Waxed lyrical about Hoyland, didn't they?
Well, they did, but all they waxed lyrical about was his work rate. I mean, if I've spent 72 million quid on someone, the least I want is for him to run his arse off for however long he's on the football pitch. I'm not praising you for that. That's a pre-requirement of the situation. Moving further forward, then, I guess this is where we're at now. I think we're keeping these teams at bay when we go away from home. Okay, Villa was different, but we've highlighted their goals record throughout the podcasts that we've done, both during then and since. But we seem to be fine. The goals that we're conceding are like annoying goals rather than soft ones. But now against these sides, and it's probably wrong to even talk about this, but we are talking about a Man United review podcast. When we get to like the final third, it all slows again, and you just want someone to have a little bit of, I don't know if it's belief, conviction, whatever it is. You just do something. It wasn't the case with the Morris chance, but it was tough to get Chio into the game. To be fair, Dalot did a pretty good job on him, and Rashford was kind of doubling up when needs be, so Doughty couldn't really get forward and assist him too much either. It was hard to get Chio in the game, but on the times that we did get him in, he kind of got to the penalty box and it stopped, and he just have a little bit more belief that you can do something, and try and create something. I'd much rather even if you cut inside and belt a ball, halfway to the moon, at least you're doing something rather than just checking back and it all stops and everything, because you never know. You might buy a ticket and win the raffle. You might ping it in the top corner, but we just seem to get to a certain, against these sort of sides, Aston Villa, Manchester United, away from home, I should add, not at home. We're fine at home. Where we get to a certain point on the pitch and it just stagnates. I can't put my finger on what it is, but you just hope that as we learn, that's the next thing that we learn.
Yeah, probably, because I think United, you have to say United respected Luton in doing a number on Chio, and that's going to happen a couple of times this season, maybe more, as he's been so effective and is building up a bit of a reputation, really. So you've got to have other avenues. And there are. You've got Issa Gabor is playing well at the moment, and you've got Jordan Clark coming back. So hopefully that's more of an attacking thing in the middle of the park. However he gets deployed, we don't know yet. And I think with Ross Barkley sort of coming more to the fore, that they've got to understand how he plays as well, really, because he can pull the strings.
And on that, we asked after the Liverpool game, ping those passes into him so you can run the ball past him and go. There were 4, 5, 6 times they did that yesterday, and he did, and he's carrying the ball. Now what they've got to do is when they've done that bit, someone make the run. Let him find you. If he doesn't find you, then that's fine. But make the run so that he can find you, because at the minute we're all just a bit, oh, do we, don't we, should we go forward, shouldn't we go forward? And I understand that we're up against, it's who we're up against, and we're respecting who we're up against, and largely a lot of the game plan might be down to not, getting tonked and all of this, that and the other. But I think Barkley's just that special talent that you can kind of take risks with, and someone will cover you if you do that.
Yeah, I think so, and they've got to get up to the speed of his abilities with the ball and his footballing brain as well. I suppose there's he's although he's been at the club for most of the season now, he's been injured for a piece of it, and he's only really started to find his feet fitness-wise and form-wise in the last couple of games, which is to be expected and understandable. So yeah, I think there's probably an element of that. But I've got absolutely every faith that they'll sort of work on that in the break, and particularly because he's not going away for international duty as well. Which if he carries on improving like he is, maybe he gets another shot. I don't know.
You can take Alfie Doughty with him if he does.
Yeah, you're incredulous about that, weren't you? That England's not even looking at him. We talked about it in the last podcast, so you can go and have a look at that as to what we thought about that. But there's positivity there, isn't there? But it's finding the right mix to make it click, isn't it? Because if the out ball and the main target has been Chio for a little while, understandably so, because he can absolutely roast pretty much anyone when it's a one-on-one situation. A little bit difficult if they're going to double up, but maybe he figures that out as well, because he's improving all the time, and maybe two's not so daunting eventually. We'll find out, but I think it is difficult the way they set up the formation, although it's not necessarily just Morris up front. That's sort of the starting point, isn't it? And then you've got other players to come in and join. But just playing one up front is so difficult, particularly when he's been so used to having a partner.
Yeah, and in those last 2 away games, Aston Villa and Saturday, he is very isolated. The midfield's 40 yards behind him, and it's a tough ask for anyone. Actually, on Carlton Morris, we spoke about the people questioning him after Aston Villa, and you'd have to say against Liverpool, he was absolutely excellent in dominating both of those centre-backs, 2 world-class centre-backs. And again, yesterday, he was very, very good. His service was nowhere near the same. Kaminsky's long clearances were nowhere near him, whereas they were pretty much right on him against Liverpool. But when he did get the ball, he held it up. He's got this thing with Barkley that I've noticed now, that the ball goes into Morris's feet, and Barkley's running off him, and Morris has just got to shift it to him and go, and then that's how we get forward. And I like the way that that's progressing.
That's one of the things that they can work on then, to utilise Barkley's abilities, and I've no doubt that they will if that's starting to come through.
Yeah, and obviously once you get Barkley driving, if you've got Chio up with him, you've got Kabore up with him, or whoever, we saw last week exactly what happens there. So, but no, fair play to Carlton. You give him the service. He proved yesterday, if you still provide him with the service, he'll still provide you with shots on target. Can't guarantee goals. These are world-class goalkeepers that we're going up against, even allowing for the jest and everything with regards to Onana. Still Cameroon international of God knows how many caps. Just made a good save. But the last 2 games in particular has been the Morris that that took us to the Premier League.
Yeah, and I understand the question in the last one about how is he getting on, but he's going to have periods like that. he's in the Premier League playing against world-class defenders. He didn't look out of place against Liverpool's pairing, which was good. And that's the first thing you want to look for and hope for, isn't it? That's in place. And then obviously when he gets his chances to make goalkeepers work at the very least, and he did that at Manchester United. So, I've got no worries about him. And I didn't when we talked about it in the last podcast, really. It's just a different world that we're in, really. And he's not going to go and score 20. If he scored 20 goals, it'd be amazing, but he's not going to, is he? So,
yeah, I mean, if he scores 20 goals, Luton stay up. It's as simple as that, because the rest of the team are going to chip in with another 20, 25 goals, and you just don't go down with 40, 45 goals. You go down if you score less than 30 goals, that sort of thing. You look at the 3 teams that went down last season, they couldn't hit the onion bag for love nor money, and they couldn't keep them out the other end. Well, we're not letting them in the other end. We just need to sort that end of the pitch out. And I guess the next sort of 4 away games will dictate where we're at in that. Brentford away, Bournemouth away, Burnley away, and I can't even remember who the other away game is after that one. But they're all the away games that are coming up. They're all games that we don't need to have 40 yards between our midfield and our striker. Yeah, we'll probably still be deep because you're away from home. You take a point away from home, but there won't be that kind of distance. So you'd expect Morris to be in the game a lot more, and all of the attacking players actually. So we'll kind of see where we're at away from home. Then I really can't emphasise it enough. To judge us on Aston Villa away and Man United away is just so futile and pointless, because there is a league between us, even though we're in the same division. But we'll finish off with the real positive from Saturday, and that's the return of Jordan Clark. It's just so good to see him out on the pitch. Whenever he's out on the pitch, he's just one of those players that you like watching.
Yeah, I mean, can't count the amount of times I waxed lyrical about him last season. I absolutely loved watching him play. And I'm so gutted when he got that injury, because he's one of those players that has had this incredible journey, not just with Luton, but throughout his football career, where he's been playing conference football, lower league, Accrington, Stanley, and then
Hyde as well, literally just down the road.
Exactly, yeah. And then getting into the Premier League, and not only that, scoring the goal in the playoff final that we thought would be the one to get Luton there. So, he deserves everything that he gets in a positive way. Jordan Clark, because he's a top bloke as well. I mean, they all are. That's part of Luton's transfer policy, really, isn't it, to get good people? But every season he's stepped up, and he's obviously had to bide his time now, and you're not going to judge him on a cameo performance in not his primary position against Man United at Old Trafford, but the fact that he's even on the bench and getting a go there when his last game was at Wembley, that's some introduction for him.
Yeah, particularly, like I say, where his roots are and everything, in the northwest part of the world. To appear at Old Trafford would probably have been a dream. So for him to realise that, fair play. And it's so good to have Clicker back. I mean, you're right. Whenever we see him at presentation evenings or promotion parades or whatever it may be, and we ask, for a few words, he never says no, which is well within his rights to do, because at the end of the day, he's there to be with the squad and the fans and everything else like that, and we're taking him away from that. But he never does, and he always gives good interviews. He's just a great guy, isn't he? And he's you can tell why he's a fan's favourite, because he does indulge himself in all of that stuff, and fair play to him. And hopefully he has 2 more good weeks of training, and he's right in contention for the Crystal Palace game, because you get a feeling there's a big part to play with Jordan Clark.
Well, I hope so. I really do. You've got to try and find out where he fits into the side, and I'm sure they will. But he's not Ross Barkley level, because Ross Barkley has played to the top level football for his entire career, and he's been an England international. But he has got the ability to pick a pass, thread a ball through, find something, decent shot.
Athleticism, getting around the pitch.
Yeah, surprisingly strong for the size of player he is. So he's in the same mould, and undoubtedly if we're talking about that he's improved every season he's been at Luton, then why would he not get better when he's playing with the likes of Ross Barkley and Andros Townsend and stuff like that. So, and you know, every faith that he will, and then try and it's just about him getting up to speed, isn't it? But why can't he just come in and slot straight in? Gabe Osho did.
Yeah, he's got competition now for the best free transfer that Luton have ever made, though. I think Ross Barkley might edge him in that one. But hey, who's to say Clicker won't improve? And
hey, Ross Barkley didn't have some of the best stats in Europe when
that is very true.
Which is what made Luton sign him.
That is very true. I don't think Ross Barkley set up oceans of goals in League One, but I understand the sentiment. It's much like when Luton fans are singing "Conference Champions, you'll never win that" to Manchester United. They're probably like, I don't really care about that, but funny, nevertheless. In fact, there was some pretty good chance in the away end on Saturday, and it's a good job there was, because it's yet another Premier League ground that is. I mean, it's a great ground, right? It's iconic. What is it? 5 months ago, it hosted an England international, but it is dead. Without away noise yesterday, it was absolutely dead, and they didn't even boo or anything. You know, it's like they did nothing. At least, you know, we've been to some grounds like Chelsea who were just starting to turn before they started scoring their goals. This lot, absolutely nothing whatsoever. It was like this experience of being in Premier League grounds is just soulless. It's not all it's cracked up to be, I tell you. Yeah,
and I'm starting to see that on Twitter. I think there was a couple of posts this weekend actually where they were saying nothing to do with Luton's application, their efforts, and the way they're trying to play. It's nothing to do with that, but they're sort of very underwhelmed by the Premier League and getting there and not having any atmosphere. And I sort of knew this would come. I warned about this when we were back in the Championship and sort of dreaming about getting in the Premier League, not even on course for it at the time, because, you know, I went and covered a bit of Premier League for 2 seasons, and it just was a different world, because I'd gone from the cauldron-like atmosphere of Kenilworth Road to these grounds where they don't make a lot of noise, and particularly the big teams. If you think Luton thought they were a big team in the conference, and sometimes when one of those teams came to Kenilworth Road, it was a bit quieter then, and that's the same mentality when Luton go to Manchester United. I know we won't want to think it like that, but Man United just expect to beat Luton, and they expect to beat them very, very comfortably, and nothing else will do for that. I'm surprised that they weren't boos in a sense, really, because if you get them to 55 minutes and it's still 0-0 against Luton, they're expecting to pump loads of goals past.
When the half-time whistle went, I expected them to boo.
Yeah,
I didn't even, it was like the apathy was just.
But it's going to happen. It really is, because I've seen it so many times. Even to the point when I used to work for a Northampton paper as well, and as well as doing the Luton stuff, it's just in the group. So I occasionally filled in for the Northampton report, and the Cobblers got up to Anfield for a whatever it was, their Rumbelows Cup. I don't know what it was called. They changed so many times, isn't it? But the League Cup, and there was no noise whatsoever. It was almost quite full. No noise from Liverpool whatsoever, and the Cobblers fans were sort of trying to, where's your famous atmosphere? It's just because Liverpool don't see that as a big game, and they're not interested, they're not up for it in the slightest. The Cobblers beat them on penalties, and so that shows you why you should probably try and support your team a bit. But I've seen it so many times, and it doesn't surprise me. I think it would be disappointing for Luton fans, I guess, and feel sorry for them if they're not feeling it that much. But don't worry about what the opposition fans are doing. I would say try not to. I know it helps. It's lovely when you've got that back and forth and you've got someone to battle against from stand to stand. But as long as Luton fans are enjoying it, being with other Luton fans in these grounds, make the most of it from your own perspective and in your own Luton collective, particularly on the travelling support. That's all you got to do, because you're going to come up against so many of these teams that aren't interested, and as well, with 73,000 people in that ground, a large proportion of them are going to be touristy fans. They're not going to be that. Unfortunately, is what the Premier League has brought, and they can hype it up as much as you like about the quality. And we have seen the quality, but unfortunately, that comes with it, and it just sort of dampens down the feverish atmosphere that we're more used to in the lower leagues. But I did see that, and I'm not surprised really. It comes with a defeat as well, doesn't it? You sort of think, not fancying this so much because of that, and it was a winning run, such a great winning run last season, and such high hopes is different to acclimatise to, but you do have to sometimes check yourself and go, this is Old Trafford.
Yeah, I'd be surprised and disappointed really if any Luton fans are disappointed with seeing the team lose. I mean, no offence, and I'm as positive as the next person, but you need to get used to that for the remainder of the season, because we are probably still going to lose. I mean, what have we lost? 8 out of 12? And that's probably going to be the pattern. We're only probably going to avoid defeating half, if not 1 in 3 games from here on in. That's just a fact of life. But
and Edwards pointed out at the beginning of the season that last season Forest lost 18 games and still stayed up.
That's the thing. I mean, ultimately, you're looking for a number, aren't you? Personally, this season, I think the number's somewhere around 30. Now, how you get there, you could win 10. I mean, obviously, we can't now because we've drawn 3. But
30 points.
Yeah.
I thought you meant lose 30 games and still stay up.
Well, I mean, but I think 30 points is the sort of number. Yeah. So in essence, at the start of a season, you can lose 28 if you win the other 10, and you still stayed up. That's how bonkers this league is. We might not even need 30 points, although there would be a certain irony if Luton Town got 30 points and stayed up with the song that everyone sings. Don't be too disconcerted, particularly in those last 2 away games. I mean, the away games that are coming up, if they're as bleak as what these last 2 have been in terms of attacking output, then maybe there's more of a concern. But I would imagine that we're going to be on a lot more of a level playing field. Certainly at Brentford, at Bournemouth and Burnley, and I think we'd all be disappointed if that's not the case. The main thing is the players know we're there, that we appreciate their efforts, which we definitely did yesterday. So that's good. And hey, we're still building, and that's the most important thing. That's it for this episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast. We will keep on bringing you more content during the international break. So if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, more than 750 of you have. But if you haven't yet done that, if you can do that, that'd be great for us because it helps with all of the sort of algorithms and everything else. But it would also allow you to know exactly when our next podcasts drop. If you have already subscribed, thanks very much for doing that. Please do continue to like and rate the podcast and keep your comments coming in. We do read them all. James replies to as many of them as he can, and they've been fantastic. We really appreciate that. James, thanks very much for your time. Thanks to you for watching and listening. Thanks to the Hightown Club for putting us up. Once again, if you did hear any fireworks, we do apologise for that, but it is Diwali and a big time of the year for people who celebrate that. Thanks to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music, and to Ed Smith Creative for all the designs that you see on our set. Until next time, which will come next week, come on, you atters.
This town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got these massive souls. We're Luton people.